Greetings! Doing the review requests thing again, where I talk for hours about various subjects you folks have sent to me. Apologies for the even lazier production values than I already usually have. This is going to be quantity over quality, so expect me stumbling over my words, spelling errors, and the text on the screen being slightly different than the audio, even worse than usual. Right, trying to do as many requests as I can today, although I'm primarily focusing on the animations. After today, I will do the remaining requests every day on Friday until I'm done, like last year. This video's topic, Sonic, because of course that's all I ever talk about. Here we go. Rhino Benke something. I want to ask you what you think makes so many people like or even love the concept of an evil Sonic like Scourge, Super Sonic from Fleetway, Sonic.X, and how many see Shadow. Well, it's not just Sonic. People love evil twins and rivals in general. Dark, Link, Zero, Vile, Riku, Edgeworth, list goes on and on. Not sure why, I guess because video games are a power fantasy, and the characters that are relatable and slightly heroic, but more willing to embrace their selfish desires just hits closer to home, I suppose. Heroes are those who you look up to, but the bad guys are the ones you really want to be. Well, except Sonic X, that works on a entirely different level, but I'm afraid I don't really get that. Some cosmic horror story. Seems I got that wrong last year. Oh well. Luke also has a few thoughts, so go ahead, Luke.
This one's interesting. Well, the idea of an evil doppelganger of a video game hero is a very common video game trope. The idea of the hero facing off someone who they could have become if they used their abilities for evil. Mario had Wario, Link had Dark Link, and Samus Aran had Dark Samus and SA-X. It might go back even further to the likes of the rivalry between Sherlock Holmes and James Moriarty. They know how each other's minds work, and both would see each other as their equal, their worthy adversary. Moriarty is just as smart as Sherlock, and he might have been a good detective too had he not become a criminal mastermind. So in a sense with Archie comics, Scourge is Sonic's Moriarty, or like the Joker due to his chaotic nature, or like how the Master is like the Doctor if he uses his knowledge of time and space for his own personal gain. Super Sonic from Sonic the Comic, where he becomes a yellow psychopath, might have been inspired by Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where Sonic is in conflict with his inner dual personality, his dark psyche. As I read the comics before I ever played a Sonic game, I was under the impression that Super Sonic is evil in the games as well. The closest we have to an evil version of Sonic in the games that stayed evil was Metal Sonic. It's like what Sonic would have become if he was a badnik. He's faster and even stronger than Sonic. When he usurped Eggman in Sonic Heroes, he became delusional and thought he was the actual Sonic, probably due to absorbing too much of Sonic's abilities. When I first saw Shadow, I thought he would follow the Shadow villain trope, like Dark Link, Dark Samus, etc., but he turns out to be like Sonic, but doing things his own way and not caring about choosing a side, but still wants to help humanity. He is not bound by Sonic's Boy Scout methods, and he sees him as a worthy ally and rival, even wanting to surpass him. This is why people like him for his anti-hero methods. We kinda also got an evil Sonic in Sonic Boom, where Sonic and Eggman swapped minds. It's basically Eggman disguised as Sonic, but the idea is there, being rude to his friends and using his speed to help his own goals. It would be interesting if, like that Smart Knuckles episode, there was an alternate universe where Sonic tries to destroy this robot village with his animal army, only to be thwarted by Eggman and his robot chums, Orbot and Cubot.
Thanks, Luke, and your tendency to list grocery lists of examples. Xkun01, I'm wondering if there was any feel of consistency in Sonic you ever felt displayed in media. Talking about whether Sonic's personality is consistent between the media, huh? Yes and no. Funny thing is, there's enough difference between all the different incarnations of Sonic that I can portray them all with a slightly different personality, but I think they all stem from the same core characterization, and that it's just parts of the creators themselves that shine through. analyzing the personality differences probably reflects a lot about the people behind the production. Like, if you ask me to write a script where all Sonic incarnations are in a room together and give them each their own flavor. So all of them have the same core aspect, confident, speedy trickster, heroic and mischievous, but then you got classic Sonic, who is a lot more focused and intense than the others. Talks little, this intense face. Adventure Sonic, who's more of an excitable puppy. Yeah, party time! This is happening! Cool! Then Pontaff Sonic, who's a little more experienced and cynical, but hiding that behind dad jokes. It's like it's my job or something. And then Boom Sonic from the show, who is full-on dad mode. Yeah, I guess I'll fix that up for you. Guess I'll deal with this problem. Jaleel White Sonic is much more your concerned but goofy older brother. Fleetway Sonic is basically classic Sonics in terms of aggressiveness and intensity, but with an even darker edge to it. Archie Sonic is harder to say with its enormous variety of writers, so it's harder to pin down to one style. I guess if I had to give Archie Sonic its own unique flavor, I'd go for Ken Pander's tendency of having characters with little personal agency and more of a, humble and blindly following destiny, that kind of direction. That seems to be what Panders likes. So to a degree, I can give all of them their own little flavor, but generally speaking, they all are the speedy, impatient jokester. I think most of these specific characteristic flavors says more about the writers and actors more so than any specific decisions or directions they had. Jaleel White being a sitcom performer automatically having that caring family member element to him. The Japanese more shamelessly embracing the purity of the soul. Americans being more held back and self-aware. The Sonic Boom team being much more middle-aged men celebrating themselves more so than they are interested in creating Sonic's universe. So my interpretation of those Sonics says a lot more about the creators, how they come across to me, than what their official intentions were with the character, I guess. Good machines. I wondered if there was a hypothetical situation in which you would lose all hope in a franchise. Like, what would it take for the series to become so broken and unenjoyable that it ruins your devotion to the series beyond repair? Ever since I was introduced to the series in 1992, through Sonic 1 for the Game Gear and the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog TV show, I've been a fan since, so it's weird to think that I would leave. I'll say this, if I'm leaving, it won't be with a bang, but with a whisper. As long as I'm yelling in anger, then I still care. So no dramatic, fuck you, I'm leaving forever! Even though that would be very satisfying, cathartic to do sometimes. But worst case scenario for me is that if we'll only get games like Sonic Colors or Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, games that technically have nothing wrong with them, they're very well made, well designed, no big dramatic things you point to and go, oh my god, this is terrible, they're not Sonic 06, there's nothing dramatically spectacularly wrong about them. Everything is all proper and technically well executed and technically doing what people want in the series. But there's no hook, no spark, no energy, nothing that makes me excited, nothing that sucks me in. Everything is just soullessly proper. Just another proper 2D platformer that's being all proper and doing 2D platform game stuff. No spectacle, no adventure, no fist-pumping excitement. Just video game to video game. Getting those games once in a while between the spectacle awesome games is fine, but if all future games are like that with no big spectacle games in between, then I'll get increasingly more bored and disinterested until I decided to skip a game and keep skipping them until they wake me up again. That would be worse for me than a Sonic game that's genuinely bad, because if a game is completely bad, well, at least watching a spectacular train wreck is kind of amusing. Not to mention, then there will be a lot of outrage and noise coming from critics and customers, so Sega will make up for it next time. But if a game has nothing spectacularly wrong with it, there's no dramatic failures that rallies people up, then nothing will change. Sega will be delusioned to think that everything is hunky-dory. Critics will be indifferent, and then the course won't be changed, and I will be thoroughly bored. Total Ash, please talk about the different incarnations of Sonic and Eggman and how they have different dynamics and relationships. Technically, their relationship is always the same. A theatrical, pompous dictator causes trouble and our sassy, sarcastic little rodent starts trolling him. The difference between incarnations is more in how different Sonic and Eggman themselves are, not so much their relation together. I already gave my take on the flavors of Sonic, so I suppose I can follow up that question with now talking about the flavors of Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik. The Japanese game's version of him usually play him very straight. He's only goofy in the visual department. He moves wacky, puts his name everywhere, and looks goofy, but in terms of actions is pretty straightforward. Even when he does silly things like having his own fanfare and party going, he still acts pretty straightforward, a little excitable, but straight. Although I like they make him very opportunistic a lot. Sure, he has a lot of great world-destroying evil plans, but he always takes time to just troll Sonic and friends and just ruin Sonic's popcorn machine when he gets the opportunity. He's the kind of guy who can appreciate the smaller evil deeds in life as much as the big ones. With Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, the TV show, I remember reading that they made a point that Robotnik is so full of himself and so passionate and absorbed in his own ego that his entire body language is that grotesque overconfidence and ego. He's just completely overflowing in his giant personality. I like that. He's so utterly pure and utterly consumed in himself. Makes him hilarious, but in a weird way also still a threat. His entire being is wrapped up in his motivations. He's super passionate. CTM Robotnik, kind of interesting. They couldn't really make him goofy or theatrical in this show, wouldn't work with the tone. Instead, they made him kind of creepy. Ooh, snivelly. Kind of interesting that's basically the same idea as the other Robotnik had. His complete shameless devotion to his passions, but in a entirely different, more creepy, perverted kind of approach. Smart way to still keep a touch of that crazy Robotnikness to him, even when you play him utterly straight and serious. In Fleetway, he's surprisingly intense and straight, barely does anything goofy. If anything, I remember they go out of their way making him look as intense and terrifying as possible. Both early Archie comics and Sonic Underground are like a mix between the earlier two TV shows. Later Archie basically has Japanese Eggman. Dan Pontev and Sonic Boom Eggman, pretty much the same as far as I'm concerned. They make him extremely self-aware, which I don't really like. I think Eggman works the best when he's delusional and self-obsessed and hyper-motivated. Making him lazy and self-aware and self-deprecating goes against the entire nature of the character, and that just makes him weak, and it kind of makes Sonic very pointless. Sonic mocking the other Robotniks is great because he can have the Doctor's giant ego explode on him. But what's there to troll and mock to modern Eggman? The guy's constantly shooting himself in the foot already. It's almost his damn catchphrase now that he's constantly telling Sonic that his plans always fail. Why would you admit that? You ever see bloated, power-hungry maniacs have self-awareness? Ever saw Trump mention his failed companies or screw-ups? Of course not. People like that require a giant epic ego, self-confidence, and this self-delusion of epic proportions to survive, you know? Discully 343, does the fact that you constantly driven into a corner force you to talk about Sonic for the rest of your life, your YouTube life, drive you insane? Additionally, what are you having for dinner tonight? I do wish I could do more non-Sonic material, but it seems that's not gonna happen anytime soon. But I'm doing it to myself, I suppose. Tonight's dinner will be my own custom-made French salad, which isn't made up by me, isn't really French, and barely qualifies as a salad. Basically a recipe my mom picked up when we went rafting in the French Pyrenees ages ago, back in 1994 or something. But I changed the recipe a bit to suit my own needs. It's simple though, just rice, boiled egg, lots of pickles, cucumber, lettuce, and tomatoes, some French mustard dressing. I like it. Simple, but alright. Melting Man 234, Luke the Fox. Hey Luke, what's your favorite character from the Fleetway Sonic Universe plus STCO? Okay, look.
Favorite Fleetway Sonic the Comic character? Short Fuse the Cybernick, a Skrull called Shorty who was roboticized by Robotnik/Eggman but still retains his original mind and uses his own robotic abilities against him. The idea of a robot gone rogue is a great idea, even predating Gamma and Omega. He helps Sonic sometimes and has some sort of an anti-hero look about him, waging his own personal war against Robotnik.
Ellie Movla asks, could you do a dissected or what if on Sonic characters having robotic counterparts with different personalities? Not sure what to do with this. Like if there's a Sonic CTM version of the characters walking around in Sonic Boom as robots? Sorry, I don't know what to say about this concept. Could be a fun animation idea maybe, but even for that I'm not really inspired for specific jokes. I guess you could watch some of Mikey's Project 2017, what if this Sonic meets Sonic in 2017 animation, or the Sonic Boom episode with Swifty. I guess that kind of has that concept going. Douglas the Thingy, maybe talk about the fact that before Sonic listened to IGN, and that's why in Sonic Colors there's none of the things that made Sonic recognizable. Not sure if that's directly IGN's doing, but it's clear they were trying to emulate Nintendo and their approach to platformers. I'm utterly baffled what they were trying to do with Sonic Colors. It seems vaguely inspired to keep the best parts of Sonic Elite, but remove the gimmicks and weirdness and take it back to basics approach, which is great, but then stops it with gimmicks and alien game design anyway. Sonic Colors is a fantastic Sonic game for people who don't like Sonic games, so I guess that would make it a very suitable game for IGN, sure. Gneedle asks, Sonic before the sequel, after the sequel, Chrono Adventure Dissected. I would want to keep my thoughts on those until I do a full Dissected on fan games, and talk about a couple more, like Eggman Hates Furries, and Sonic World, and Sonic Robo Blasts, and such. And I'm kind of waiting for Big to Catch Fishing Adventure 3 to come out for that. It's gonna be it'll be the catalysm of the fan game focused episode, I guess. Anyway, I love after the sequel. Before the sequel is great, but with a little awkward level design at the early levels. And I can't really get into Chrono Adventure at all, as I really get disorientated, confused by exploring in a 2D game, especially when you're constantly warping to new locations. Not a big fan of the third one, but the rest is great. Freedom Planet versus Sonic Mania, and Power Rangers and pop culture, your thoughts? Hold a second, doesn't have anything to do with Sonic, but I'll talk about it anyway. But first, I can't say how well Sonic Mania will stack up against Freedom Planet. Devil's in the details, and they're still keeping a lot of details from us, so you have to ask me again when that game is actually released. But in terms of Freedom Planet against Sonic 4, for example, I think I said that before. Freedom Planet uses its concept of returning to 16-bit style gameplay as a strength, a joy, an opportunity to get all their passion of these games out, to impress, to push those types of games to the next level, where Sonic 4 treats its 16-bit concept as a prison, where the designers are fighting against themselves and playing it as safe and dull as possible to avoid betraying the original games, even though ironically being safe and dull is actually the real betrayal. So, we'll see what Sonic Mania will do, but so far games like Shovel Knight or Stardust Valley, Undertale, those games embrace their retro styles and push them to the next level, do things the original games could never do, but still within the framework that makes sense of a 16-bit style game. It's a tight balance. Get that right, and it's great. Apparently only fans can get that right. Big studios missed the mark. Although Double Dragon Neon did alright. And, Power Rangers and pop culture. I don't quite get the question. Well, I suppose I could tell a personal little anecdote about Power Rangers from a discussion I had with my mom years ago. Here, Power Rangers was on TV right after a soap opera my mom always watched, so sometimes we ended both of us ending up watching each other's shows together. So of course you get that talk, right? You know, what's with all the violence and heavy metal music? This is bad for kids. You shouldn't watch something that's so filled with violence and aggression. You should watch soap operas. They are much more realistic and teach you about life and aren't violent. And I was always thinking, look, yeah, there was all this violence and action, but look at the tone of the show. It's super positive. Episodes are always about, oh no, gang, the orphanage needs more money. Let's go collect some money and save the kiddies, gang. Or, oh no, I got bad ratings in biology. Don't worry, best friends will help you. Oh no, bad guys, let's team up together and kick some ass. Best friends forever, woo! It's all about solving problems, friendship, being proactive, productive, positive. All the main characters are practically scout boys, goody goods. They're all doing super cheesy, happy stuff and being nice and friendly and family. And it works. Kids actually generally find them cool because of the metal music and them kicking ass all the time. But then you have the soap operas of Mom. Sure, there's no physical violence, but good God, if you're looking for mental violence on the other hand, these shows are a world war. The main hero has a friend. You can bet your ass that friend will betray him. There's a romantic couple kissing. Wait for 5 seconds and someone will barge through that door with a shocked face. Dun dun dun. Characters are constantly miserable, constantly stressed. Friends betray, love only causes trouble. And God may help you if a character asks for help from someone, their teacher, their parents, their lover, their friends. They'll yell, get angry, betray. It's just misery on top of misery. Everyone is always on the verge of a mental breakdown. Every episode ends with a miserable cliffhanger. The character will always end up cheering on, and in soap operas are always the bad guys. They're the only ones who are calm, collected, and have their shit together and get things done. They're the only ones who can actually smile. Even if that smile is hiding evilness, but, you know, it's still a smile. I'd take a fake smile over all the misery anytime. So yeah, call me weird, but I think a violent show about positive and a strong can-do attitude of nice people kicking ass is much more inspiring than a miserable soap opera that just teaches you that life is just going to be a crunching nightmare. Although I do agree with my mom, the soap opera is more realistic, but yeah. So yeah, Power Rangers. It's cool. Oh, and I have to say, I freaking love how their outfits looked in the movie, the 1995 movie, the power armor versions. Really sucks they barely use it, but oh well. Well, those weren't the only Sonic requests I got, but I think I've said enough about Sonic for now, so the other couple questions I got, they'll be answered next week or the week after that. Sorry. So this is it for this video for now, so yeah, see you all next week, or later today, but with a different topic. Bye-bye.